Evio. Welcome back to The Devil's Ledger for the week of May 11th, 2026. Hopefully you're enjoying another springtime, that brief, almost suspiciously optimistic stretch of the year where everything starts over, whether it wants to or not, where Mother Nature gently reminds us that reset isn't just possible, it's inevitable. So if you feel like you need to start over, do it. We start, as we always do, with the creepiest thing I heard this week. So there are certain conditions that sound strange. Then there are the ones that sound like they shouldn't exist at all, and this is one of those. Her name is Nicole Delien, a teenager from Pennsylvania who, by all outward appearances, was living a normal life. Until she wasn't. Because Nicole was diagnosed with something called Kleine-Levin Syndrome, a condition so rare, so poorly understood, that even doctors struggle to explain it beyond a handful of clinical symptoms. But those symptoms, they don't feel clinical. They're insane. Nicole would fall asleep, not for the night, not for a long weekend, for weeks, sometimes months, not in a coma, just asleep. During one episode, she reportedly slept for 64 straight days, from Thanksgiving into the New Year. And when she wasn't asleep, she wasn't really awake either. She would drift in and out, sleeping up to 20 hours a day, barely conscious of the world around her. And when she did wake up, things weren't right. She didn't recognize people. She didn't recognize places. Her memory fractured. Her sense of reality blurred. Imagine opening your eyes and not being entirely sure where you are or who anyone is or how long you've been out. And then imagine being told, "You've been asleep for 2 months, bro." That's not fatigue. That's disappearance. Because that's the part that stays with you. The idea that someone can simply vanish from their own life. No trauma, no injury, no warning, just gone. And then returned, expected to pick up where they left off as if time hadn't moved forward without them. But it does. School continued. Friends moved on. Life kept unfolding, just without her. And then, just as she began to settle back into that life, it could happen again. No pattern, no certainty, no way to stop it. Sure, doctors can describe it, they can name it, they can try to manage it, but they can't explain why it happens, and they can't prevent it. Which means you're left with something far more unsettling than a diagnosis. You're left with a question. What does it do to a person to lose chunks of their life like that? To have time taken from them, and not gradually, but in massive, disorienting chunks? To wake up and realize that the world has continued without you? Because the creepiest part of the story isn't the sleep, it's the gap. It's the missing time, the fractured memory, the understanding that it could happen again, at any moment, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't what you see, it's what you lose, without ever knowing it was gone. This week on The Devil Within, we continue with Season 5, What We Built and What We Buried. And it's a story that feels like it probably shouldn't exist. It's about an alleged substance called stardust, named by its inventor. It's a white paste that, if the demonstrations are to be believed, it appears to neutralize fire entirely, not slow it or resist it, but just eliminate its effects. There are videos, demonstrations, there are witnesses, but there's one big problem. It was never tested in a controlled scientific setting. So the question isn't just did it work, it's why was it never proven? Find out this week on The Devil Within. On Criminal Mischief, Carolyn Osorio wraps up her series on the rise and, let's face it, inevitable fall of Seattle's elusive bank robber named Hollywood. Because stories like this, they don't fade out quietly. They end the only way they can, in a blaze of glory. On Finding Me with Josh Wolf, Josh keeps showing up, and it's starting to show. The changes are real, the impact is undeniable, but it's not simple. It's messy, it's complicated, and it's unfolding in real time. This isn't really just a podcast anymore. It's a process, and it's one worth following. On The Slippery, Scott and Nancy take you deep into the world of hustlers, scammers, and the long road that leads them exactly where you'd expect. Behind bars. Don't be a victim. You can learn something here. Make sure you're following The Slippery wherever you get your podcasts. On the culture of criminal cool, Episode 2 drops this week. Hosted by Ash Adams, this limited series pulls back the curtain on the cocaine trade in 1980s New York. In the center of it all, Adam Diaz, one of the biggest distributors of the era, a top earner for the Medellin cartel. It's raw, it's honest, it's incredibly dangerous, and you hear these stories right from the horse's mouth. You don't want to miss this series. The Culture of Criminal Cool, wherever you get your podcasts, or on the Evio Creative YouTube channel. So thanks for listening and supporting all of the shows on the network, and we'll catch up with you this week across the Evio universe. Until then, stay safe out there. The Devil's Ledger is an Evio production recorded live at Bel Air Studios in Los Angeles, California. For The Devil's Ledger, I'm your writer and host, Brandon Morgan.